Today, we're going to go over the top 10 scariest attractions in the world. Make sure to watch until number 10 because it's one of the most scariest attractions I've ever seen. The desire to escape the demands of our work after a long day of work or even a month long of work is what makes our journey to beautiful tourist attractions for different types of activities. It is these attractions that can refresh our minds, give us a moment to relax, and give us a chance to go exploring new places and check another item off of our bucket lists. Then again, there are attractions that do the exact opposite, and this is because they are scary. So here are the top 10 scariest attractions in the world, and you'll be shocked to know why. Number 10. The Island of the Dolls, Mexico. There's a truly creepy place in Xochimilco near Mexico City called Isla de las Muñecas, known as the Island of the Dolls. Here, old dolls are suspended from trees and buildings in a scene straight from a horror movie. The question is, how did this come to be? On the island are dolls of different kinds and colors, originally placed by Julian Santana Barrera, the island's former owner who passed away in 2001. It is said that he believed dolls chased away the spirit of a girl who drowned years ago through the help of the dolls. Further, legend says that a doll was hung up by the island's caretaker as a memorial to a little girl who drowned on the island some years ago, and the collection grew over time. Meanwhile, some residents have even heard the dolls whispering to each other, believing the spirit of the girl possesses the dolls. Number 9. Dracula's Castle, Romania. While the Dracula of Bram Stoker's gothic horror novel of the same name is a fictional character, there is an actual castle named Dracula's Castle. This area was once part of Transylvania's eastern border, just outside of Brasov in Romania. According to CNN, Bran Castle matches Stoker's description of it in his book, and is the only castle in Transylvania to display the armor and weapons Stoker depicted, including a seated lion. Then, in the late 1300s, Bran Castle served as a fortress against the Ottoman Empire's expansion when it wasn't housing the most famous vampire in history. In his novel, Stoker modeled the vampire on Vlad the Impaler, a notorious ruler of the 15th century who brutally tortured and killed tens of thousands of people. In addition, you might enjoy a pilgrimage to Bran Castle, a grand turreted medieval castle widely believed to have inspired Dracula's castle. Just be sure to bring some garlic. Number 8 is Japan's Suicide Forest. It is roughly a 2-hour drive west of Tokyo to reach the Aokigahara Forest, also known as the Sea of Trees. Upon entering the forest, visitors are reminded that life is a precious gift from their parents. In the Japanese language, some of the signs say, "Quietly think once more about your parents, siblings, or children," and "Please don't suffer alone and first reach out." In Japanese mythology, the Aokigahara Forest is closely associated with where the dead live and is one of the world's most popular suicide spots. For decades, Aokigahara has had a dark reputation. Then, a 1960 novel by Saicho Matsumoto tells the story of an ill-fated heroine who kills herself by going into the forest. Another thing is that this forest was the setting of the 2016 American horror film The Forest, in which a woman searches for her twin sister who mysteriously disappeared in the woods. As a result of an increase in suicide attempts over the years, there are now signs at the entrance warning people that they should seek help, and patrols regularly search the forest for bodies. Number 7. Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, West Virginia, USA. What comes to your mind when you hear the word asylum? Now, let's take a look at why asylums are one of the scariest places on Earth. As the building of this foreboding asylum began in 1858, the asylum opened to patients in 1864. Architect Richard Andrews designed the massive building to maximize sunlight and fresh air, believing that a healing environment could be created within its walls. With afflictions ranging from alcoholism to epilepsy, 2,400 patients were housed in cramped conditions by the 1950s. Further, it was common practice to restrain patients and administer inhumane treatments, such as electrocution therapy and lobotomies. This facility closed in 1994 after it operated for more than a century, and it was forced to close because of changes in mental health treatment and deteriorating conditions. In the crumbling hallways of Trans-Allegheny, ghost hunters and guests have both reported seeing shadowy figures of some of the asylum's victims. Aside from this, today there is now a paranormal tour offered by the asylum where you might encounter some former inmates like Lily, the little girl. Number 6. Castle of Good Hope, South Africa. In the past, people have experienced several emotions at the castle, ranging from joy and pain. In the beginning, white settlers used this place as a refreshment station for ships from their native country. Then, they eventually became symbols of the dispossession of land, livestock, and dignity for indigenous people. During that time, South Africa's oldest building was used as a prison. Where inmates were tortured and abused, this is built by the Dutch East India Company in the 17th century. Then, there is a report that even today, former inmates still scream chillingly at the guards. Shamir Robertson, a tour guide at the castle, says that once prisoners were in the castle, their guilt was already decided. Even if they had just been suspected of committing the crime, they were punished, and even if put on trial, they were always convicted. As part of the punishments at the castle, prisoners were dismembered, dragged through the castle tied on a horse, pierced with stakes at the gallows, whipped, beaten, and kept in isolation for long periods. Number 5. Pluckley, England, UK. The village of Pluckley lies in the lush Kent countryside just a short drive from London. This scary place is further accentuated by the existence of the Daring Chapel, which lies at the top of the first aisle of St. Nicholas's Church. To your right, a strange dancing light can often be seen in the window's upper section. And in many cases, you will hear knocking coming from beneath your feet from the family vault. Although it's notorious for being the most haunted village in England, it's also known for being a pretty picturesque setting, which was recently featured in the television series The Darling Buds of May. In 1989, Guinness World Records awarded Pluckley in Kent the dubious title of England's most haunted place. It is said that at least 12 ghosts roam around the village, including an old woman who smokes a pipe and drinks gin on the bridge. Number 4. Poveglia Island, Italy. Located in northern Italy, Poveglia is situated between Venice and Lido. There are records of its existence dating back to 421. To date, what we know, what we are being told, and what research is being carried out has been nothing less than a scary ride. With this, all visitors, locals, as well as tourists are now prohibited from entering Poveglia Island. There's no question that Poveglia Island is one of the most haunted places in the world. Thus, visitors are not permitted to visit the island since it is uninhabited. If you were sent to an island without any reason other than to die, how would you feel? Those were the days when most people in Venice lived on Poveglia Island. In 421, the island's first ever residents fled barbaric invaders to this island. By the 14th century, only a few people lived on the island. As a banished plague victim in a 1920s lunatic asylum, it seems unlikely that this banned island near Venice isn't haunted. An experimental lobotomy doctor perished after allegedly being driven mad by Poveglia's ghosts after performing experimental and not entirely successful lobotomies at the mental hospital. Number 3 is the Centralia mine fire in Pennsylvania. In terms of environmental tragedy, the Soviets were not the only ones. There's been a coal mine burning beneath Centralia since 1962, producing a ghost town with cracks in the ground emitting smoke and heat. Although the origin of the fire has been debated, it's generally believed that a coal seam was ignited by an attempt to burn a landfill on May 27, 1962. Over the past few years, the fire has burned slowly yet steadily, leaving fewer residents than before. Further, it is not possible to book a guided tour. However, visitors are welcome to drop by on their own. But it's best not to expect to fill up your tank at a gas station because underground fires cannot be put out with gasoline. There is no clear explanation for how the Centralia fire started. The most common theory is that coal beneath an old mine entrance was accidentally ignited as a result of garbage being burned near the entrance. When coal is burnt, oxygen and carbon within it combine to form a fire. Number 2. Chernobyl nuclear plant, Ukraine. An outdated Soviet reactor design coupled with operator mistakes contributed to the April 1986 disaster at Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine. It resulted from Cold War isolation, which left no safety culture in place. Get an up-close look at one of the world's worst environmental disasters. Not too close anyway. Many areas are dangerously high in radiation, and tour guides stay clear to avoid TripAdvisor reviews that might appear in a decade or two. But there's no rush to see the abandoned villages because they will likely remain unoccupied for centuries to come. And down to our number 1, Gates of Hell, Turkmenistan. As long as nature remains awesome, it will continue to keep extraordinary secrets, enjoy its magnificence, and keep on being awesome. Those secrets motivate us, fuel our fantasies, and we become captivated. In the Karakum Desert near Derwiz village in Turkmenistan, there is a truly amazing natural wonder, the door to hell. The methane reserve is almost the size of a football field, making it one of the most dangerous places in the world. This Russian engineering disaster has now become a hot tourist destination. It started when the workers encountered a massive gas cavern while drilling in 1971. When poisonous gas rose, officials set it ablaze without consulting any of the government agencies charged with environmental protection. So, are you challenged to visit these attractions? What can you say about this? Let us know in the comments below. Please like this video if you love it. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss more videos of top 10 things in the world and much more. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.